My mother abandoned me in the hospital with a broken arm to go on a luxury vacation to Cancun. But when a nurse called my dad, he destroyed her custody, and now mom begs to see me while her marriage crumbles. I'm 15 years old. I'm in sophomore year of high school, and what happened a few months ago basically changed my entire life. I mean, in a way I never imagined. I guess I should start from the beginning so it all makes sense. Because people always ask me how I ended up living with my dad when I used to live with my mom. And the truth is, it's a pretty long and complicated story. My parents got divorced like 3 years ago, when I was 12. It wasn't a surprise to anyone, honestly, because they had been fighting about everything for years, like everything. From how to pay the bills to what we were going to have for dinner that day, anything was a reason to argue. I remember that many nights I would stay awake listening to them yell from my room, and I would put on my headphones trying to block out the noise, but I could still hear them. In the end, I think the divorce was the best thing for everyone. Although at the time it hurt me so much because, they're still your parents and you want things to work out. My dad moved to another city for work, like 2 hours from where we lived, and I stayed with my mom because she said it was better for me to stay in the same school with my friends and all that. My dad would come see me every other weekend and we talked on the phone often. And honestly, that part was fine. I mean, it wasn't ideal, but it worked. The thing is that my mom met Raymond like a year after the divorce. She's a beauty influencer. She has a YouTube channel where she does makeup tutorials and product reviews, and she has like 200,000 followers or something like that. So she spends a lot of time in front of the camera and at brand events. She met Raymond at one of those digital business conferences. He has a marketing company or something like that. I never really understood what he does exactly, but he makes good money. They got married super fast, like after only 1 year of dating. And I was like, seriously? Because I barely knew him, and suddenly he was already my stepfather. My mom was so in love that she didn't see anything else. And when I told her that maybe it was too soon, she would get mad and tell me that I didn't understand adult love, that when I was older I would understand. Raymond has 2 sons from his previous marriage. Both are like 2 and 3 years older than me. I think they're 17 and 18 now. From the beginning they treated me like I was a nuisance in their house, even though technically it was my house first because they were the ones who moved in with us. They made fun of my clothes, my music, literally everything I did, and Raymond never said anything to them. Actually, sometimes he would laugh with them when they made comments about me. My mom didn't do much to defend me either. She was always on Raymond's side in everything, like she was afraid to contradict him or something. Raymond is one of those controlling people who have an opinion about everything. They had only been married for like 3 months when he started getting involved in my life in ways that made me feel very uncomfortable. He criticized how I dressed, said my clothes were too baggy and unfeminine, that I should make more effort with my appearance like my mom did. He told me I ate too much or too little, depending on the day and his mood. If I got good grades, it was because the subjects were easy, and if I did poorly, it was because I was lazy and didn't try hard enough. There was literally no way to win with him, And the worst part is that my mom just agreed with everything he said, as if she had suddenly forgotten that I was her daughter and she was the one who was supposed to take care of me and protect me. Things got worse when Raymond got a promotion like 8 months ago. Suddenly, they had more money, and he decided that the whole family deserved a luxury vacation to celebrate. He started planning this incredible trip to Cancun. All-inclusive 5-star hotel, private activities, the whole package. I was excited at first because we had never had a vacation like that. My mom and dad never made enough money for those kinds of trips. Raymond booked everything for the first week of November last year, right after Day of the Dead, and we were all counting down the days. The problem started the day before the trip. It was a Thursday. I remember perfectly because we had a math test that day, and I had studied all week. My mom picked me up from school like always. We were on our way home because we still needed to finish packing some things for the next day's trip. We were talking about what bathing suits I was going to bring, and I remember she was in a good mood, laughing and telling me that we were finally going to have quality time together at the beach. I don't know exactly what happened. I think the car in front braked suddenly and my mom didn't have time to react, or maybe she was distracted with her phone. The truth is, it was never clear. The point is, we crashed it. It wasn't a terrible accident like where the car was destroyed, but it was strong. The next thing I remember is being in the hospital. My whole body hurt, but especially my left arm, which turned out to be fractured. I also had a concussion. I had hit my head pretty hard. My mom was there when I woke up. She had some scrapes and bruises, but nothing serious. and she was crying, telling me that everything was going to be okay. The doctors told me they had to put a cast on my arm and that I needed to stay under observation for the concussion for at least 24 hours, maybe more, depending on how it evolved. I was just thinking about the trip, that we were going to miss it, and I felt bad about that even though I knew it wasn't my fault. Raymond arrived at the hospital like an hour later, and his face didn't show concern but rather annoyance. He approached my mom and they started talking in low voices in a corner of the room, and although I couldn't hear everything, I caught random words, like trip, non-refundable money, opportunity. My mom looked distressed and kept looking at me and then at him, as if she was trying to make a difficult decision. After a while, my mom came over to my bed and told me they needed to talk to me about something important. She told me that the trip was non-refundable, that Raymond had spent like $8,000 on the tickets and the hotel, and that if they didn't go, they would lose all that money. I nodded because, I understood it. It was a lot of money. But then she kept talking and told me that the doctors had said I was going to be fine, that I just needed rest, and that they had thought that maybe they could go on the trip anyway. I went blank, literally couldn't process what I was hearing. I asked her what she meant by that, and Raymond intervened, saying that I was old enough to stay alone for a few days, that one of the neighbors could check on me, that it was just a week, and that when they came back, they would bring me something nice. I started crying, like I couldn't control the tears, and I told them I didn't want to stay alone in the hospital, that everything hurt, and I was scared. My mom looked uncomfortable, but Raymond kept insisting, saying I was exaggerating, that the doctors were going to take care of me, and that it was important that they go because his sons also deserved that vacation after all their effort in school. Mentioning his sons hurt, especially because, what about me? Didn't I deserve my own mom to stay with me when I was hurt? But it was no use. Raymond had already made the decision, and my mom, as always, backed him up. The next day, my mom came to the hospital early, gave me a kiss on the forehead, told me to be good and that we would talk on the phone every day. I was still crying, begging her not to leave, but she just kept saying that everything was going to be okay and that it was just a week. Raymond didn't even come into the room. He stayed in the hallway checking his phone. And just like that, they left. They left me alone in that hospital with a broken arm and a concussion while they went to enjoy the beach. The first 2 days were horrible. The nurses were kind, but they were busy with other patients, and I felt completely abandoned. I cried all the time. My head hurt. I couldn't sleep well. And every time my phone rang, I hoped it was my mom telling me they had come back. But they were just messages with photos of the beach, of the food, of them smiling happily. It was as if they had completely forgotten that their daughter was in the hospital alone. On the third day, I couldn't take it anymore. One of the nurses, her name was Patricia, came in to check my vital signs and found me crying again. She sat on the edge of my bed and asked me what was wrong, and I told her everything. Between sobs, I explained that my mom and stepdad had left me alone to go on vacation. She was quiet for a moment, and then asked me if I had anyone else who could come, and the first thing I thought of was my dad. I hadn't talked to him because my mom had told me not to tell him anything so as not to worry him. But at that moment, I realized that was stupid. He had a right to know that his daughter was in the hospital. I gave Patricia my dad's number, and she called him from her phone. I heard when she explained the situation that I had been in an accident, that I was in the hospital, and that apparently I was alone. My dad started asking a ton of questions. Patricia handed the phone to my doctor, who explained everything, and literally within 5 minutes my dad was on his way. He told me not to move, that he would get there as fast as he could, and hung up. Like 2 hours passed. He lives 2 hours away by car, remember? And when my dad walked through that hospital door, I cried again, but this time with relief. My dad was furious. I had never seen him so angry. He hugged me very carefully because of my broken arm and asked me how it was possible that my mom had left me alone. Where was she? What had happened exactly? I told him everything while he listened with his jaw clenched. Then he talked to the doctors, to the nurses, to literally all the hospital staff. He told them that he was staying with me, that he wasn't going to leave me alone for one more second, and that's what happened. He slept in an uncomfortable chair next to my bed, bought me food I actually liked, not the horrible hospital food, played movies on his laptop, basically did everything a mom or dad should do. When they finally discharged me 3 days later, my dad talked to the doctors about a neglect report. He explained the complete situation, and they told him that what my mom had done was definitely not okay. That leaving a minor alone in the hospital after an accident and with considerable injuries was parental neglect. My dad said he was going to report it formally. And although I felt guilty, like I was betraying my mom, I also knew that what she had done was wrong. My dad took me to his house that same afternoon. His apartment isn't very big. It has 2 bedrooms and it's in a somewhat old building, but for me it was paradise after everything that had happened. He set me up in the guest room, which he started calling my room from that moment on, and told me to stay as long as I wanted. He called my mom, who was still in Cancun, and the conversation was brutal. He yelled at her how could she think of abandoning her daughter in the hospital, that she was a terrible mother, that he was going to report her to CPS, and that he was going to fight for full custody of me. My mom tried to defend herself, saying that I was well taken care of in the hospital, that it was only a week, but my dad didn't want to hear anything. He hung up and told me that he would never allow them to hurt me again. He kept his word. He made the formal report to CPS for child neglect. My mom came back from her trip 2 days later. I guess Raymond didn't want to cut the vacation short, so she had to stay the full 7 days despite everything. When she came back, she tried to talk to me. She called me every day crying, saying she had made a mistake, that Raymond had convinced her, that she really thought I was going to be okay. She tried to get me to tell the social workers that everything was fine, that she hadn't really abandoned me, that I had exaggerated the situation. She sent me messages telling me exactly what to say, how to explain things so they wouldn't make her look bad. But when it was finally my turn to talk to the CPS social worker, I told them the truth. I told them everything, from how Raymond treated me, through the accident, to how they left me alone in the hospital while they went to Cancun. The lady from CPS looked more and more concerned as I talked. She took notes and asked questions. In the end, she told me that what had happened was definitely parental neglect, but that since there was no prior history of reports and I was already in a safe place with my dad, what they were going to do was give my mom a formal warning and force her to take parenting classes. They also modified custody. Now my dad has full custody, and my mom only has supervised visits if I want to see her. It's been like 4 months since all of that. I live with my dad now. I changed schools, and although it was difficult at first to make new friends, things are going much better. My dad tries so hard to make sure I'm okay. He asks me how I feel. He goes to all my school meetings. He cooks with me on weekends, although neither of us cooks very well. Honestly, but it's fun, and basically he's the dad he always was, but now full-time. My mom tried to contact me the first few weeks, but eventually she didn't insist as much. We talk like once a month, short and awkward conversations, where she asks how I am, and I say fine. I don't know if I'll ever be able to completely forgive her for what she did. I guess maybe, when I'm older, I'll understand her decisions better. Although honestly, I doubt it. Raymond never spoke to me again, which is perfect for me. I heard from my mom that she and Raymond are having problems in their marriage, that he blames her for all the legal problems and the negative publicity because, yes, some of my mom's followers found out what happened and canceled her, which she probably hates more than any other consequence. Last week was my 16th birthday, and my dad threw me a surprise party. He invited my new friends from school. He made a barbecue. Well, he tried to make it. It was a little burnt, but it was still good, and we all sang happy birthday. It was the first time in a long time that I felt really happy, surrounded by people who actually care about me. That night, before going to sleep, my dad came into my room and asked me if I was happy. I told him yes, happier than I had been in years. He gave me a hug and told me he was too, that having me with him was the best thing that had happened to him despite the terrible circumstances that caused it. And that's enough for now, I guess.